All right. Happy Labor Day, everybody. Welcome to the program. We know that you work hard, and this country is made up of some of the most hardworking people in modern history. And so you guys deserve a rest. We all deserve a rest. So I hope you are doing that. Meanwhile, the rest of the country is still hard at work, quelling free speech and launching us further and further towards World War III. So we're going to get into that because, like you said, it's Monday. There's a lot of stuff happened over the weekend. Let's bring in the gentlemen here. We've got Josh Turnbow and Joe Kovacs. Hello, gentlemen. How are you today?
Hey, Matt.
Happy Labor Day.
Thank you.
So, Joe, we have an article up at WorldNetDaily that kind of covers, if we have that here, it kind of covers what's been going on over in Israel in Gaza with the hostage deal. Biden says they're very close. Meanwhile, the streets are erupting in Tel Aviv with protesters, and there's been a lot of developments over the weekend when it comes to some of these. I think there were 6 hostages that were Americans that were saw their lives ended, and so this situation is going from bad to even worse. Can you walk us through where we are right now?
Right. Well, over the weekend, 6 bodies were discovered. They weren't all Americans. One was American, Hirsch Goldberg Polin. And he was one famously, I think he had lost part of his arm, and we saw him in a previous video. But these 6 bodies were recovered. And the thing is, they were recently murdered. Apparently, they had been alive up to the past 48 to 72 hours, I'm told, according to the health authorities. And so they had been held and they had been alive until just a couple of days ago, and they were found in the tunnels, and everyone issued statements about the outcome of this case. And of course, there's still more hostages being held, but they were found in tunnels, and President Biden issued a statement saying, Hamas is responsible for this, and we're going to make them pay. Of course, he hasn't made them pay yet. We haven't been involved in this at all. We've been allowing the Israelis to do the dirty work that needs to be done on behalf of Americans. Again, some of these people are Americans who are being held, including Hirsch. And Vice President Harris issued a statement, basically not saying anything, another word salad kind of thing. And Trump issued a statement of his own on Sunday saying, it's not really Hamas that's to blame. It's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris who are to blame for this, saying they have blood on their hands, saying they allowed this attack to take place in the first place, and it never would have happened if Trump were president, because Biden and Harris show weakness around the clock, and terrorists sense weakness, and because Trump wasn't in power, he said that the attack took place and these people were held captive for so long. This, again, goes back to October 7th of 2023. This is a long time now. We've got, another month or two till we get to the 1-year anniversary of these folks being held. There you see the photos of them. Hirsch is the one on the bottom right, the American. But, these are all Israelis, one American, an Israeli-American citizen, and they're all human beings, and there's still more being held. There's, negotiations continuing. You showed the photo of the story of Joe Biden coming out to talk to reporters on his way into the White House this morning. And they asked him, is there any progress? Will he be presenting a final ceasefire deal to help release the remainder of the hostages to both sides? And, he says, hope springs eternal. We're close to that. And he was asked, what makes him think that this could be the deal breaker, since we've had other proposed deals that have been rejected? And he said, hope springs eternal. So we'll see the outcome of this. And, there's always hope. Yes, there's always hope these folks are still alive. But you can see, one other thing I had just read before the show started is that these folks were murdered at gunpoint, like close range shots to the head or body, multiple shots. So it was like an execution style killing of the 6 hostages. So it's just astonishing, gruesome developments, and we're all standing by for more.
Yeah, it really is gruesome, and it's hard to believe that we're about a month away from this being the 1 year anniversary of it. I can't believe when you said that, I thought, oh my God, I looked at the calendar, I couldn't believe it. So, folks that are, like I said earlier, Tel Aviv is abrupt. There's folks in the streets protesting. Authorities there, I think we have some video there. Authorities there were trying to quell it and trying to dismiss them. They were blocking some roadways, things that we see all over the world was happening there in Tel Aviv. Let's watch some of this. Yeah, and those folks are waving a Israeli flag, so those aren't like necessarily Palestinians protesting; those are actual Israelis protesting, right, Josh?
Yeah, these are Israelis protesting, calling for a ceasefire, which is, it is strange, to be an American and look at this kind of stuff, because they're calling for a ceasefire. It's a massive protest that happened the last night, but the killing of the hostages, I guess, has made them come to some kind of limit now where they want it to stop. So they're protesting and they're calling for negotiations and a ceasefire, which I don't know why they think that it would be that way. But also something I've heard quite a bit talking to friends that are from Israel is that there is a disconnect between the protests that happen in Tel Aviv and the rest of the country. Tel Aviv always leans left. And so the leftist idea here seems to be they want a ceasefire, which I don't think is bad, but in negotiations, I mean, there's been a massive loss of life, and I don't think that's ever good. But that's at least what we think is going on with the protests.
Yeah. Well, we'll continue to obviously keep tabs on that and keep our audiences aware of what's going on there. So be sure you're going over to WorldNetDaily. And the other front in the possible pre-World War III ramp up here is Ukraine and Russia, of course. And apparently there was a drone hitting a power plant in Russia. Let's look at this quick video here. I mean, that's incredible. They are also sending something over called beaver drones. Josh, is that what these things are? Is this a beaver drone?
This is just amazing. So this drone you see here, they call it Beaver, which in the weird translation in Ukrainian is just bomber. I guess it's lost in the translation there. But basically, Matt, each one of these cost $4 million. Now, we don't know how many total Beaver drones went over. We know other types of drones went over. But, I mean, if all of them are around that price, it could be upwards of like $500 million. So that's going to be American money, most likely, paying for drones. And the big takeaway here is this is flown from Ukraine and hit power plants and oil refineries right on the outskirt region of Moscow. Now, there's not much more you can do other than hitting large civilian targets. That is begging for an overreaction from the Russians, which is, it's really hard to put this into perspective for Westerners because we've kind of all been lulled into this place where we're like, oh, they're attacking Russia again. This is their capital city, more or less, right? They are flying drones into their infrastructure. They're begging for an overreaction or maybe a proper reaction from the Russians, which is, it's so dangerous. We have not been in this place at all, maybe since the Cuban Missile Crisis.
I guess, but I'm just kind of wondering, like, what, not to be somebody that's trying to encourage it, but what is it that do these, I'm almost starting to think that nobody has like really, really massive amounts of like artillery, military to just go in and demolish, because their Nord Stream pipeline was blown up. This isn't the first time that we've seen attacks, on the capital city and trying to come over the border there. And we know this thing's been going on for a while, and there's been mass casualties and such. But this isn't the war zone that I remember seeing when the United States invaded Iraq or when we went into Afghanistan. And maybe that's just because it's not our troops that are over there, so we don't have a lot of reporters embedded. But this is a new world, in terms of technology and getting information out. And we have seen some horrific and some video footage, but it doesn't. It feels like skirmishes all over the place, not a full-on blown massive war. Am I crazy for thinking this way, Joe? What is everybody waiting for? And again, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to encourage it, but.
Well, it looks like the death by 1,000 pricks strategy rather than the going in, like you said, during the Gulf War and other wars that we've had recently. When you want to win a war, the goal is you have to demolish things and people sometimes to win the war. And it's like they're fighting a war, both sides, by the way, not to win. It's just like they're playing army with each other, bang, 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 back. And there's no serious result from this. It's just ongoing conflict. I saw the movie Reagan over the weekend. It just opened up this Labor Day weekend. And the movie actually focuses on communism and the expanse of it, and Mother Russia and the Cuban Missile Crisis, as Josh mentioned there. And that is the whole theme of this movie. While it focuses on the life of Reagan, the whole theme was his battle, his personal commitment to stop the spread of communism. And basically, it boiled down to, what stopped the spread of communism from Russia at the time. And the answer basically was one man, Ronald Reagan. They called him the Crusader, mockingly, but there is a positive side to being a Crusader too. But one man was able to stop the expanse. And, we were, that time of the late 70s, early 1980s was a big time where everyone thought we were on the brink of World War III, nuclear war, ballistic missiles up the yin-yang. Both the Soviet Union and the United States had these missiles pointed at each other. And Reagan had to meet Gorbachev famously in Reykjavik, Iceland. And he was ready to walk away. We were willing, by the way, to share our SDI, Star Wars technology, with Russia. But they never came to a deal, and Reagan walked away. But this ongoing conflict, it's been going on for many moons now, and it has no end in sight. And the thing now is there's this high-tech Western technology being introduced and fighting against Russia from Ukraine. And, is Russia going to take it up a notch now and blame the Western powers for arming them? During the course of the Biden administration, all we've been doing is sending billions after billions after billions, and there's no resolution to this war.
And like you said, it doesn't seem like anybody wants one. I think you hit the nail on the head there. This is the military-industrial complex saying, we don't want any winners because we get to fund both sides. I want to let you, sorry for interrupting, finish your point.
No, it's just that again, when you're fighting a war, you have to be willing to win it. Otherwise, it's just going to go on, and people are going to die, and it costs a lot of money. And, both sides have to take money out of their programs to feed their own people or whatever their infrastructure programs are, just to pay for these weapons. You mentioned that one weapon, the Beaver drone, also known as a bomber drone, costs, what was it, $4 million per unit?
Yeah, it's estimated $4 million. So
that's just one little thing costs $4 million. And of course, they're generally destroyed. These things, they often are not, reusable.
Yeah, they're kamikazes.
Exactly. So this is an expensive thing. The military-industrial complex, as you mentioned, is loving it because it's just dollars flowing, and there's no resolution to it. They don't know the way to peace, Jesus famously said in the Old Testament. So, he's the way to peace. But, people love war. They love violence, and they're getting rich off it.
Right. Josh, I want to go to you on this point.
Yeah.
What do you yeah.
Well, Matt, like the one thing we have seen in this conflict is that each side is playing a game. So the Ukrainians are goading Russia at this point for a reaction. Why do they want a reaction? A reaction would be an overreaction or a large reaction. So how much will Russia, where like they're poking the bear with drone incursions into their capital region, taking out infrastructure. We would not tolerate this in America if this happened. As an example, from Mexico, if Mexican drones came across the border hitting buildings in San Diego, they would be carpet bombed almost in the same hour. And the idea is that, and this is actually, I think, the most dangerous thing, is that Russia understands that there's a game being played, and that game involves trying to get them to react. What happens if they react? What happens if they hit a large civilian target with a very large weapon, maybe not even a nuke, but let's say they get the propaganda headline of the massive hole in a city or just a decimated city they want to photograph. That then does what? Moves the West to be at an actual war, in war with Russia. And I don't know why. I mean, there's speculation on this, but it seems like that's what they want. This article that we have up from the BBC kind of puts the headline in perspective. Ukraine's long-range drones using Western tech to hit Russia. Guess who's going to see that? That's a message to Russia.
Mm-hmm.
We're using our tech to hurt you, Russia. What are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we're in the perfect window of time for that to happen, because if anything happens before the election, well, wouldn't that just be perfect?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's no coincidences in when it comes to this kind of thing. I mean, it's just, it all seemingly is just fitting nicely with the globalist narrative to just try and drum up all this stuff. I think we have a clip here from Tucker talking about, you know, kind of the lay of the land, I guess, right now, right? Like just kind of where we're at and what we have to deal with. Let's watch this clip.
Killing Trump was the national crisis I referred to that they will always resort to out of desperation if they think they're going to lose power. But if they think that there's a chance that Trump could win decisively enough in November that they can't steal it, then I think their only option there is to, in some way, throw the society into chaos, as they did during COVID, which was the pretext for changing the way we vote. That would not have been allowed except under a state of national emergency provided them by the virus they created in a lab in Wuhan, COVID. Like, they're sick. They have no limits at all. They're flirting with nuclear war, which would eliminate human life on the planet right now. These people don't have limits. And I don't think the average non-liberal can really understand that. It's like, well, you know, at a certain point they'll pull back. No, they won't. The truth is, we're entering a new phase, I think, in the West where the repressive tactics of the regimes that all of us have always opposed are turning up in our own supposedly free societies.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. That was
he nailed it.
He was on Alex Jones. That was an Alex Jones interview that he did on Alex's show. So that's where we grabbed that clip. But I guess moving along on that sense, so this is why it's so important that the free speech fight continues. And when you think about the idea, you know, we use the term free speech, you know, it gets thrown around and it's always used to kind of protect some of the, you know, more of the you know, people who are outlandish and objectionable and all that sort of thing. But when it gets right down to it, what you see what's happening with the Telegram founder being arrested, what we see now in Brazil, it was announced over the weekend that Brazil has shut down access to X. This is incredible. And now you have the former Labor Secretary, Robert Reich. He was Labor Secretary under Bill Clinton. Calling for, I mean, the arrest, I guess, of Elon Musk. I mean, not just the outwardly boycott of Tesla and all of Elon's businesses and stuff, but to really go out there and say what he's to calling for his arrest. Basically, I mean, this is crazy. And right now we have a tweet from Peter Sweden 7, where it's showing here that that Twitter is banned yeah, here it is right here. Twitter that X is banned. And then I'm sorry, you had the list up there of the top 3 things. Reich had like 5 or he had like 10 things you can do to stop Elon Musk, and one of them was what do we got here? We got boycott Tesla. Advertisers should boycott X, and then regulators around the world should threaten Musk with arrest. Joe, I mean, we're at that point. We're here. Well, I mean, this is it.
Yeah, well, you said no limits, and this is who the left is. Again, spiritually speaking, the left represents the devil, and they have no limits. You know, it's all about lies. And so Elon Musk is a representation of truth here, where you're allowed to actually speak your mind. He's an absolutist when it comes to free speech. You can pretty much say what you want on X, but what they don't want you say, the left loves free speech when it agrees with them, but when it doesn't agree with them, they call it hate speech, misinformation, disinformation. We've heard all these terms in recent times because they want it shut down. What are they trying to shut down? It's truth. And of course, truth represents God. Jesus himself said, I am the truth, the way and the life. So what you're seeing here is the physical manifestation of this spiritual battle that's ongoing in the unseen realm and now here on earth, where they're trying to shut out any mention of truth and to threaten somebody with arrest just because he's wealthy and has a free speech platform. I mean, this is astonishing to show how far they'll go. There are no limits with these people. We had a bullet miss Trump just this summer in July in Butler, Pennsylvania. Why? Because Trump happens to voice a lot of truth out there. They can't stomach it. And as Josh was mentioning before, we could see some sort of chaos either nationally or globally to throw the world into turmoil where it could have an impact on the election, just like that whole COVID pandemic. And it was a pandemic for those of us who've bothered to do the research. It was not an accident that it happened during Trump's time. Fauci, years before, had said in a speech at Georgetown University, "Oh, Trump better be ready for a pandemic that's coming." And then, boom, we have a pandemic, and it shuts down the whole world and this booming economy we have. So gird your loins, as they say.
Yeah, well,
just tighten your belt and get ready for anything might happen here. We still have, a few months before Election Day.
And just as we were coming to air, we saw the story break that the U.S. government seized the Venezuelan president's plane, their equivalent to Air Force One. So our government seized their plane down in the Dominican. And Elon, I saw it because Elon tweeted out the CNN link to it. And he said, he basically said, hey, was it Luna down in Brazil? He's like, you better watch it with seizing X's assets, because we'll take your stuff. So it's all ramping up, like you said, and every day brings up something new here. We have an image here that we shared over on X where Elon creates an account that reveals all of Alejandro's illegal activity. He's squaring off with Brazil's over his illegal dictatorial censorship of Brazilians on X. Don't miss a drop of tea and get all the details over at the Alexandre files. So, wow. I mean, talk about a shot across the bow, or maybe even a direct hit, that they're just going to start shining a light on the abuses of the Brazilian law committed by the president there. This is insane, right, Josh? I mean, this is the warfare. I mean, at least there's no lives lost in this free speech warfare at a mass scale that we saw during World War I. But this is the war that we're in. This is an information war.
Yeah. Elon is mentioning Alejandro de Moraes, who is a Supreme Court judge in Brazil.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I called him the president. Yeah.
No. So he has, been able to consolidate power to the degree that he is kind of running the country in a strange way. But he is the one that called for X to be shut down in Brazil. And this guy is pretty radical. Obviously, Elon dislikes him. But what Elon has done is he's opened up this thing called the Alejandro files. And that will now be documentation of everything he's doing that is against free speech. And it's actually cites corruption as well. So I think that, I think that tweet or that account is only a few days old. It's already got like 300,000 subs because people want to know what's going on. But also, I think the important thing here, Matt, is that there's a narrative being built, right? So how does the narrative work? Well, who are the most dangerous people in America for real information getting to the American/American voter? Well, it's through these unfiltered social media channels. So first they go after Telegram. They have to go after Elon. They'll also likely go after Rumble, which I'll ask you to go like and subscribe over there later. But basically, they have to build the narrative. So what do? They go to a familiar but outside agent, Robert Reich, right? They go to him through The Guardian to say, hey, Elon should be arrested. So now journalists in America will say, just like Robert Reich said at The Guardian, Elon should be arrested. That will create an echo chamber of Elon should be arrested. So now you know their plan. That's their plan, to somehow figure out a way to neutralize Elon. The easiest way is to arrest him, to use the power of the state to do that. So now they've revealed that to us. So we should not be surprised, and we should be anticipating that will happen in two scenarios. Either before the election, they'll try something very desperate to shut down X, to tell us who actually won the election. Then let's say that Trump actually wins, and we should all go vote to make that possible. Never be so doomer that you don't go vote. Well, then what happens after Trump wins? Complete and utter chaos would be required. And then the media drumbeat will be, hey, this guy's bad for America. Look, he's thrown us into chaos. And the real truth would also have to be blocked at that point. So you can only hear the mainstream media voice. Sorry, that was a long diatribe.
No, that was, but I know I'm reacting to the doomer truth that you drop out there. I mean, that's just, but I mean,
thought the image of that guy that you showed from Brazil, he looked like he was auditioning for a role in Dracula or Lord of the Rings or something. I mean,
yeah.
Look at that whole outfit. I mean,
I think I saw people calling him El Voldemort.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Well, can we compare that to Robert Reich, though? I mean, here's a guy. Come on, you guys, look at that.
You could. It looked like child molestation for a minute, but no.
So that's the former Secretary of Labor, Robert Reich, who, like you said, he ran to The Guardian for this op-ed, for this column that he wrote, and it was like, why are you going? Well, of course he'd go to Britain. He'd go to Great Britain press, who absolutely hate free speech. Free speech is dead in the UK, absolutely dead. So of course he's going to go over there to George Orwell's favorite whipping boy for this kind of tyrannical nonsense, and publish his article there. And so I think Joe, when we think about the world of 1984 or A Brave New World, I think we're in a combination of both. I mean, because we're sort of, comfortable in our misery, right?
Yeah, well, we are here. Big Brother is here. He wasn't born yesterday. We've been moving toward this for decades now. I mean, we have surveillance cameras everywhere, where it's now expected. If there's not a surveillance camera, why isn't there a surveillance camera? So we're living in this Orwellian state where the state wants to know everything, not just what you're doing, but what you're thinking. And, they're monitoring all the social channels too. And I just want to point out about Robert Reich. Rush Limbaugh used to make fun of him by pronouncing his name as Robert Reich. It would go on for 10 or 15 seconds of shh. And what an upstanding character he was with Bill Clinton during his presidency. But Robert Reich is a complete uber leftist, ready to have the state work its magic, it's black magic, to arrest people. Why would you arrest people just for voicing their opinion? I mean, and allowing other people to voice their opinion. Isn't that what America is all about? Isn't that saving democracy, as you know, the Democrats like to use for their campaign ads all the time? To take away or to arrest people and throw them in the clinker just for voicing an opinion and allowing others to voice an opinion, which is the truth, by the way. That's what they're afraid of. It's all about killing truth. And again, I think we're going to see more of this ramped up at warp speed here as the election nears. And who knows what happens like after the election, as Josh was saying. If Trump wins, they could go into freak out mode. I think you remember all in the last election, there was a famous video of a woman. I don't know if she was outside the White House, but she was somewhere in Washington, D.C., just completely upset at the election, on her knees in a yellow jacket and hat going, no! It was just famous around the world because these people will freak out. They're freaking out now at the prospect of Trump being reelected. So, he's promising to open up all kinds of files, whether it's the JFK assassination files to other files. So these people are wrongdoers, evildoers, and I think he's finally going to shine the light on everything they've done, and that's what they're freaking out about.
Yeah. Well, Walter Kern over on X had this up here. The last few days have seen an almost symphonic surge of attacks on our most fundamental rights by officials, newspapers, politicians, celebrities, and academics. It's not rhetoric anymore. It's an organized massing of institutional forces prior to big moves which seem imminent. Lieutenant General Michael Flynn responded to that with this, saying, yes, these, quote, big moves are imminent, and on a global economic shift is among these. This one coming in October. And then he quotes Thomas Jefferson here, or paraphrases perhaps. Thomas Jefferson once said that words to the effect that single acts of tyranny may be ascribed to the accidental opinion of a day, but a series of oppressions begun at a distinguished period, like right now, and pursued unalterably through every change of leadership, such as Biden to Harris, all too plainly prove a deliberate, systematical plan of reducing us to slavery. This is what those pulling the strings seek. So Jefferson's words ring true today, and if this continues unimpeded, we can and should anticipate a national crisis or crises of epic proportions. And then lastly, things are only imminent if we allow ourselves to fall into the trap of apathy and complacency. Not I, said the general, not I. Now who's with me? And this is the rally cry we need, right? Right, Josh? I mean, this is what we're hoping will wake people up. I mean, when you see this bombardment of things happening, you either just fall back into your cave, right? Plato's cave, and you just go back and get deeper and deeper down into the wells, or you come out and say, all right, time's up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, Matt. General Flynn had a great point as well. We're at a turning point now. Thanks, Charlie Kirk. Yeah, we're at a turning point. This is really critical. This is the most important time in our lifetimes, but maybe in American history, but it's here. There's just a few months left until the election. And then even the people on the left that are classic liberals are aware of this. They're even siding with Trump now because they are aware that a win for Kamala Harris is a win for the regime that will likely end our rights as we know it. So this is a little bit of a more doomer than normal kind of message here today, but we should expect this. One thing that you can do as you're watching this, and if we've effectively made you concerned, is you can subscribe to our social media channels, but those too can be banned. So we want you to go over to worldnetdaily.com or wnd.com, and you're going to see, you can just click up in the menu bar and you'll see you can sign up for news alerts. Those are going to come to your email. And until email is banned, and if you sign up there, you're going to hear everything from us. You're going to see links to shows. You're going to see all the great articles that Joe and his team are writing. But we need you to go over there and sign up for this. Put your email in there. We're not going to spam you. We're going to give you information. And really, email is one of the last lines of defense. And after email, there's not much more. So we should assume that they'll go for that too. And if this sounds crazy to you and you're like, well, they really went crazy. They really went ham over at the show today. Yeah, we're sounding the alarm. Don't forget, it wasn't that long ago that we saw Joe Biden reveal himself as an invalid to the national stage in a debate. Shortly thereafter, President Trump there was an attempted assassination and a coup within our own White House. Much, much more is coming. And I hate being like all doomerish, but I think it's the case. And it would be wrong to not say it out loud.
No, it's important to say. It's important to take note of all that. And I think, a lot of people are calling this coming election the most important election. And if you follow politics, you hear that every election. But I contend that the most important election that we've had was 2020, and that this election is just part of that. And so you laid it out nicely. I'm glad we had those tweets from Kern and from Flynn. And please, I encourage folks. I mean, we are seeing the censorship. Didn't we have one of our episodes censored on YouTube and had to be put in full on Rumble? So you can, that's not happening. It is happening. It is happening. And so, you have to connect with us by email and please do that. So that's really important. All right. The other thing you can do is, of course, follow Joe on social media and follow his articles over there on WND. Joe, where are you on social media? How can people follow you?
My personal account on X is at Joe Kovacs News. There it is on your screen, at Joe Kovacs News. And of course, WorldNetDaily has at WorldNetDaily for all of our articles out there. And of course, you can come to the website directly, which is worldnetdaily.com. Or if you can't remember the name WorldNetDaily, WND.com will get you there. They're interchangeable. We're the same people. And, we've been here for a long time. We've been here since 1997. It was founded by Joseph and Elizabeth Farah. I've been with the company since 1999, just before the famous Y2K non-event happened. But, we're news veterans. I was in television news and radio news for decades before joining the WND team. And yes, there's a lot of liberal leftist slant in television news. It's going on today, getting worse. But, when you come to WND, you can be confident that you're getting the truth. We are not really, I would hate to say that, we're for the right or for the left. We just want to put the truth out there and let you have the truth, because the truth shall set you free.
Amen. Fantastic. And Josh, give us the Rumble links again as well.
Yeah, folks, go follow us on Rumble. By the way, our Rumble numbers are going up like crazy. We really appreciate that. We need you to subscribe and like, and hey, put a comment in there. And there's sometimes we'll get like strange people making weird comments like Kamala will be the best president we ever had. We should put a little competition to those comments. Put your own in there, please. You can follow us on Rumble. That's our primary video channel, but also on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And our X account is fantastic. It works hand in hand with the news team to have the most breaking stories, and anything that's going on will be covered there. We also have a Telegram channel. We'd love you to go find us over there. That's WorldNetDaily at Telegram. And over there, we can put, for now, almost everything. So you can see the QR code there on the screen now. Follow us on all those. And of course, very important, if you can, I would really love you to go over to the website, and in the menu bar, you just click News Alerts. Select the News Alerts and put in your email. We'll send you everything that you need to know, and it will not be censored from you.
Fantastic. All right, folks. And of course, vote. I know early voting is starting. I mean, I know we're 2 months out, but wherever you are in the country, if you've requested your ballots, make sure you return them. If you requested a ballot, make sure you return them. And then, of course, tell your friends and everybody, get out there and vote. It is super, super important that we still show up at the polls and vote. So that's my 2 cents for you guys today. All right. It is Monday. It's Labor Day. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. And we'll see you back here on Wednesday for more. Thank you again. God bless.